Hello, I'm Mike,
And I am Fran.
and this is Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, Episode 3. That's Mike and Fran Unrehearsed on 216 The Net, real life internet radio on Wednesdays at noon. So if you guys have questions, I'd love you to send your questions to 216thenet at gmail.com. We're getting a whole bunch to choose from, and we got some choice questions for you guys today. But before we get started, I just wanted to ask Mom how she's been doing over the last week. So what's new, Mom?
I've been very fine, and I am glad to see that many schools are coming to a conclusion about staying virtual till January and
Oh
not
my
doing
God.
any opening on the premises.
Right. I mean, apparently we're not doing quite as good as we had anticipated with these recent surges, and they're taking a step back, it sounds
Yeah.
like, to do more virtual than actual
Right.
teaching in the school.
Right.
Yeah. Remember you pointed out a little comic in the weekly magazine that you love to read, and it was a little crossing guard guy with a suit, looked like a spaceman, all sealed up with a lens on the front, and it says "Back to School" sign, and he's looking at a mom and a kid ready to cross, and he's going, "Well," and the mom goes, "I'm thinking." And that's kind of going on in a lot of people's minds right now. Take the kid to school, leave him at home, do both. What are we going to do? So it's kind of a little bit crazy right now, don't you think? So,
Yes.
anyway, I'm sure it'll work out fine, but it's constantly changing. And I pray to God that one day we can go back to school like normal people do and not have to worry about COVID-19. So, praying for that day to come, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mom. So we ended the last show with a question that we might start off with for today. And the question is, what is the best relationship advice you can give for anyone in a relationship? And I think we can look at it as sort of a general question as opposed to something more specific. But what do you think?
Well, there are many different types of relationships, uh, but I think in relationships in general, there's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of being honest, being polite, kind. I think these are things, and be yourself,
Right.
and truthful, honest. These are all just basic little things that should work in a relationship. Like if I was a teacher and worked with a large faculty, that I would extend myself that way to all of my teachers
Right.
that I taught with. Or in your family with your kids in relationship is to be honest,
Right.
try to be understanding, have give and take.
Give and take, I think, is key
And
because when some people start talking, they go on and on and on and on and I know they want to make a point, and it's very important to listen to when somebody is talking and to hear what they're saying instead of it kind of going in one ear and out the other. And when they're done talking, you just continue on with what you were talking about without even listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to be a good listener. But then I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt when I meet new people, especially. And then you get to know a little bit about them, and then you make a sort of a judgment call on whatever it is that they're asking you, or or what you're talking about.
you're not the whole cheese.
No, no,
That's
no.
it, kind of the bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I just treat everybody with utmost respect, and I try to be cordial and professional and friendly and all of those
Yeah.
things all at one time, as much as I can. And I like to do one thing in particular, and I don't know. I started doing this maybe a number of years ago. I like to find one thing about this person that they might not know that they do really well, and talk about that, because they maybe are looking in this area, they're not finding success, or they're having a problem, or they're feeling down in the dumps. And I'm going to tell them that, you know what you do really well is you do this, and you're the only one that could do this that good, and just do more of that. And sometimes they'll be like, really? You think so? And I would tell them that. And I think it's kind of interesting to find out what those qualities are in individual people to help them sort of identify it so that they could sort of expand on it and, and use it to, their advantage in whatever it is they want to do in their life.
And have a better relationship.
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, Fran, so let's start off today with this new question. Do people seem to have become more stupid in current times versus what they were when you were growing up?
I don't care for the word stupid. Let's qualify that.
Okay. Okay. So let's say, do people seem to have become less caring or less kind in current times versus how they were when you were growing up?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, we're done with that answer. That's it, right? That's all you want to say?
Yeah.
No.
No, I want to qualify that. There has been such a vast change. Something that's really been pounded into me last week. I use a computer, go on Facebook, like a little baby at it. My son is an expert.
That's me. I'm her son.
Yeah.
That's me. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. And what?
And I find that there is such a vast difference in what people expect of people and how people were from when I grew up. And I started to say that this last week on Facebook, there was a picture, 6 different versions of how a person can greet a person other than a handshake or a hug.
Right.
And I was not a hugger in my life, but I always shake hands. Always shook hands with my doctors or people. Can't do it now. But it showed 6 other ways that you can communicate with a person.
Okay, so tell me, what were some of the other ways that they
Well,
did?
like bowing,
Okay.
using your elbow,
Elbow, I know
nodding
that.
your head, putting your hands up like you're praying on your chest.
Okay.
I think there were and 2 more. But
All right, and any other examples you can think of, or?
well, I said when there was 6, I named 4,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
2 more.
Okay.
But
okay.
I answered then, and I answered, yes, I have tried all of these. They do work.
Right.
And then I looked down and I thought, well, let's just see what some of the other people were saying.
Right.
I went down, 500 people, even more. And each one was talking negatively, nasty, rude about this comment.
Oh my God.
Like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm an American. I'll hug when I want to.
Right.
People need to be hugged. I'm an American. I can shake hands when I want to. Nobody tells me what to do. Why, we communicate by using the finger. And this went on.
Right.
Person after person after person. About 500, and I stopped counting and looking.
Yeah.
And out of this group, there were 2 other people that felt like I did that said, yes, these were reasonable ways to greet people. And only 2. So there was
2
3
out
of
of
us
500 agreed
Yeah,
with
and-
reasonable ways.
Yeah,
What's wrong with people?
And I just thought, why are people so angry, so antagonistic? It seems to go back to that me society that sort of started in the, 70s, 80s, where the person became more important themselves
More important than anyone
than
else in
anybody
the entire world.
else
Right,
sharing
right,
or being kind.
Right.
And it ended up with the dumbing down of America, I thought, in a lot of ways. That everybody had to cry a little bit and they had to be treated the same. I used to work and do the spelling bees up on the stage at school. And I'd have all the kids and the parents would be there. And invariably, there would be one that started crying their head off if they lost, and the parents would run up to the stage crying with him. And hey, you don't win everything. There is a winner, and there are losers. The losers are good in something else.
Right.
Every kid is not good at the same thing.
Right. That's right.
It's like when you have a game and every kid gets a first prize. No.
What's the
There's
point?
one kid that
What's
did
the
the
point?
best. and you have to learn life is that way.
But if
you
you-
just don't ease through
If you
life.
want to get something done and accomplish
Yeah.
and get good at it, you have to prepare, you have to
Yeah.
practice, you have to work on it, you have to learn and be educated and be prepared for that moment for when you want to perform. It's not just going to be given to you on a platter. And then, it's kind of like the younger generation sometimes thinks that they should automatically wake up one day and make six figures without lifting a finger. And it's this attitude of sort of,
Yeah.
The word I want to say is entitlement. Entitlement.
Yeah.
They're entitled to make six figures. They don't have to work as an apprentice with their uncle and this and that. And it should be just handed to them on a platter.
Yeah.
And they just float through life.
But-
and then when it happens, and everything will fall into place
But it
all
doesn't,
by
work that way.
itself.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't happen that way.
Nope.
You got to work hard
Nope.
for what you get out of life
No.
today.
No.
It's
No.
not handed to us on a platter.
No.
You know? And it's like when you're driving in Chicago and there's a lot of traffic, and when I was doing a little Uber, and people don't even blink an eye at a light that's changing and you're coming to a stop. Do they want to at least glance and make sure that the car stopped before they're walking? No. Their attitude is, that car wouldn't dare run me over because I have a right to walk across the intersection. But guess what? If it was between them and my car, I would win. But they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
They just don't. They're entitled. They've got their earphones on. They're in their own little world, and all they have to do is just at least look around and see what's happening around them. So they're a little bit aware, and it comes to the same thing when they're jogging out early in the morning to keep one of those little earplugs out so they can hear what's going on around them. If some people are approaching them, or some gangs are making some noise, or some people are causing some problems, to stay away from that area if they can.
No,
You can't be ignorant and just think that you're the only one in the world that matters and nothing else counts. I don't know.
Well, there are a lot of people that have that feeling. There's a lot of great people too.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
a great number of people, a greater number now than before, that it's me first.
Yep.
And it's not a
Yep.
two-way street for them.
So how was it when you were growing up, though, as far as that's concerned?
Oh, it was better. I mean, we all helped. We didn't have that nasty attitude, or we sort of worked for everything we got. We didn't have that attitude that way as much in the 30s and 40s when I was growing up. It's a good number of years ago.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But everybody was maybe more willing to help others out and
Yeah.
not that concerned about
Yeah.
they having their life threatened and things like this. But
It was just inbred in you, and that's the
Right.
way you did it.
right, that's
you know?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say a kindler, more friendlier kind of a world, but I don't like
Yeah.
to really say that because that has a different connotation.
Yep.
But I do want to mention one thing about the COVID-19 thing and the masks, because people really need to go to a course or something and be taught how to wear a mask.
I know.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. So I went to court the other day. It was this moving violation. I don't know. Did I tell you that? Yeah. Well, it was way back about 5 months ago. Finally had to go and get rid of this silly ticket in Evergreen Park. I didn't even know I was speeding. I think it was just a red car that went past, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to stop that guy because it's a red car," And so I go in there, and when we walk in, everything was dismissed because no police officers were present, and everybody got off. And I guess that was one good thing of COVID-19 for me, because I didn't get a moving violation. But right in front of the courthouse or the courtroom was a sign that showed 5 different ways not to wear a mask and one way to wear it correctly. Up on your nose, snug at the top, all the way around on your chin, and tight as it could possibly be. Airtight. Okay. What's the worst way to wear it? Under your nose. And I'm telling you, you got the news station tonight. These scientific people that are working on investigations in the criminal world on logistics of bullets, they're talking to us with the mask right under their nose. And it's like, why do we even have a mask on? Well, what's the point? On their mouth, on their chin, hanging from an ear. I don't know. What's wrong with people? They're not wearing the mask the correct way. What's the point? It's like I saw this one woman in front of me. She had beautiful eyelashes and she's dressed really nice, and her mask was like a hard shell of a mask, like a costume mask, and it was sitting off of her face by at least a half inch. What is the point? Is this a fashion thing now? What is it? Wear a mask that covers your face and gives you the protection that you need about breathing in air and breathing out air. Why is that such a problem?
Protecting other people for what you're breathing.
Okay, so we were in the doctor's not too long ago, and there's a woman there with her daughter, and she was just royally, in pain because she had to literally bring her daughter out somewhere in COVID-19 because she fell and hurt her knee, and it was a silly thing, but she was there with her daughter, and her mask was under her nose. And we're sitting in there. My mom's 93. I'm trying to be very careful, keeping the distance, and I'm looking at the lady, and I gotta show her what to do with the mask. So I take my mask, and I take it down, and I put it up, and I take it down, and I put it up, and then she looks at me and goes, oh, yeah, all right, and she puts it up on her nose, and it's like, I'm sorry, lady, but I'm doing it for your protection, for our protection, for everybody's protection. But that was mild. Nowadays, you read about in the paper that people are like spitting fire at a guy because he took his mask and he just walked 2 feet out of the store. Took his mask off right away because he's outside. And that's like, gonna get everybody sick and they're all gonna die because this guy didn't wear his mask from the door all the way to his car. Holy shit. And like you said, I'm an American and I can do what I want and I don't care about anyone. And it's like, that's not the right attitude. What's going to be left? Nobody's going to be surviving COVID-19 that way, I don't think. Anyway, we got off on a tangent there, but it really gets to me because I'm looking at this sign that says the 5 ways not to wear the mask. And I turn around in my line, and every single one of them was in the line with me, separated by about 6 feet. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to cause any trouble. I'm just going to keep my distance, keep my mask on, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Whew. Okay, so our next question, Fran, is what would you say would be your favorite actor or actress?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because everybody is well aware that Olivia de Havilland died this last week.
Right.
At the age of 104.
Right.
And she has been well known for many years since she was in the movie Gone with the Wind as Melanie Wilkes.
That's right.
And she had done films earlier with Errol Flynn, who was everybody's little hero then, in Captain Blood and in Robin Hood. But she had a long time of acting, and then she retired early, ended up marrying a Frenchman, lived in France for over half of her life, and had the interesting life of being born in Japan.
I remember
Her father was a teacher at some college there, a school, and she and her sister, Joan Fontaine, was also an actress. She died at 96, so they have a little bit of longevity in that family.
They certainly do.
And she took the name de Havilland as her acting name, as her stepfather's name, and Fontaine took another name. They were never close, as according to the press, if you can believe everything you read. They sort of looked at each other like dragon ladies, but interesting. She was well known for being the first, or one of the first people to speak out against the Hollywood system in sticking up for the rights of actors and actresses who had contracts that weren't exactly great.
Right.
And she was noted being one of the first to speak out. She certainly was a handsome woman when she died at 104.
Yes.
But also was asked who was a favorite actress. Well, when I was growing up, of course, everybody had to like or not everybody. I like Katharine Hepburn.
Yes.
Not because she was the greatest actress, because she was such a character.
Right.
And the way she spoke with I mean, she had this odd way of speaking.
That's right.
And
That's right.
liked her very much as for an actress. Today I like Helen Mirren.
Right.
There are other actresses. I'm not into singers or dancers that much. As to actors, there were ones I remember way back. Always like John Wayne or James Stewart. I was always into westerns. Like my son says, I've watched every western in the world twice.
Twice. That's right.
And
what about like Clint Eastwood? You know, I mean, I don't know.
well, Clint Eastwood. But I did finally find out who.
And what was his name?
Randolph Scott was the name I was searching for. He was box office #1 in I think 20s or the 30s. Tall in the Saddle, did many westerns. Randolph Scott. And also, I liked Audie Murphy.
Oh my God.
Audie Murphy, who
Yes.
became this actor because he lied about his age and got into the service
He was
early and
like
became
what, 16 when he got in it?
younger, 15 or so. Became the most decorated soldier ever. And when he came out, he was grabbed up by the studios to become a box office sensation
Yeah.
in doing,
Yeah.
maybe 30, 40 cowboy films.
Well, I remember coming home, and it seems like every time I see you watching a western, there's Audie Murphy again. There's
Well,
Audie Murphy again.
oh, what
There's
is so-
But he usually plays a little sheriff guy, and he's usually a good guy in the film. But every once in a while, he doesn't play such a good
Yeah.
guy. But that's not very often.
He
that
had
happens.
such bright, eager-looking eyes,
Oh, yeah.
a crisp
Oh, yeah.
voice, and a smile.
Little guy.
And then you stop to think that he had a very unhappy life. He had that, what is that disease, Michael?
PTSD.
Yes, and
Post-traumatic stress
after
disorder.
the war experiences he had,
Well, at that time, they didn't even know what that was. They didn't. They didn't know.
no. And he was said to have slept with a gun under his pillow, and he
Right.
was very upset, and he was married 4 times, did a lot with gambling. He had a hard life. He just
hard
never
life.
came back
Stressed out. Yeah.
stressed out, and was killed in a plane crash when he was in his 40s.
That's terrible.
But you look at him in the films and you see this bright-eyed
Oh, yeah.
young guy, and
You'd
that's
think he'd have-
Audie Murphy.
You think he had it made in the shade,
Yeah.
this guy. You think
Yeah.
he had
Yep,
living the life of
yeah.
dreamers,
One of the actors that played a lot of roles, not the lead, was one named Edgar Buchanan.
Oh.
And Edgar Buchanan at
That's
one
right.
time in Eugene, Oregon, was my dentist.
Uh-huh.
When I was maybe 6, 7, 8, or 9, that was a dentist we had, and he
So-
left Eugene, Oregon, down to become a bit player, and was in so many movies with John Wayne, Stewart.
Right.
Randolph Scott. Not Randolph Scott. He was much later than that.
So,
but with a lot of people.
Did he literally like tie a string to your tooth and to the doorknob?
No, he was a regular dentist. He was a regular dentist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So now tell me about Robert Redford. Tell me about him.
Oh, that was my favorite of all. He was just the one that I liked the very, very best. And he was the one that I sort of conjured up a story. Now, wasn't a dream, and told it to my kids. And all of my kids could not figure this out and looked at me like, Mom, you're off of your rocker.
Yep.
My
That's what we said.
episode or thought that I had was that Robert Redford and I were on an airplane flying from the West Coast over Montana or Utah and crashed in the Cascades. We were the only 2 survivors, and we ended up alive in this cave up top of this mountain. And we're sitting there looking at each other, and there is a cartoon drawing over my head that is showing love, heart. Oh, how I have idolized this man. And over Robert Redford's is a picture of my arm.
Oh.
That little arm. Well, that to me made sense, but none of my kids could figure it out. And I said, he was hungry. He wanted my arm to eat.
He was looking at your
And
fat
I
little arm
was looking at him because of love. And I thought that was such a great joke story. And none of my kids, I don't think even this day, they still will end up going, Ma, you know, that's your story.
That's
but
too
anyway.
funny. That's
yeah,
just too funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we should tell him that someday, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Michael, I'm asking you about who was your favorite as an actor or actress.
Oh, thank you. Well, I guess I like a lot of different genres and actors and actresses, but I guess I used to like Henry Fonda and some of those older films with Clint Eastwood. I liked Bruce Lee as a martial artist. I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee, but as far as modern day actors are concerned, probably Burt Reynolds had some good parts too. I would probably say Clint Eastwood is always one of my favorites, but I like George Clooney, and of course I like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Because they got the Italian thing going, and there's no way I could deny being half Italian.
Yeah.
And they got the facial expressions and the different kind of scenarios that they act in, and The Godfather and all that kind of fun stuff that you watch for years. I love that. So I want to be like, well, I guess Robert De Niro and live where George Clooney lives on Lake Como. And do you remember going to Como Inn in Chicago at one time?
We took you when you kids were small, when it was still there.
And they had the red shag carpeting and the wrought iron furniture, and we had that in our old home, I think. Didn't we?
I think in one of our dens or something.
That wasn't the whole house, but it was.
Yeah.
So I remember that, and that's long gone now. But it was funny that they had that red shag carpeting in there and the old wrought iron. And that was just a wonderful place and wonderful food.
I remember at O'Hare Airport when you and your brother were both crazy about Clint Eastwood. And you were sitting there, and we were delayed for a couple of hours, and you entertained everybody in the whole airport. You each started doing the dialogue from one of his movies.
Well,
you and he went through the whole part, and everybody was laughing. You had it down pat. You knew every word to the whole movie practically.
Well, the line was, "You're nothing but dog shit." Dog shit. A lot of things you could do with dog shit. You can scrape it off your shoe and fling it on the street. You can smear it all over someone's face. You're nothing but dog shit. So I remember it was Dirty Harry, one of the Dirty Harry movies, and the end scene was this punk kid that he finally caught up with on this pier, and he had a stupid big wide Band-Aid on his nose, and Clint's like, "You gotta ask yourself one thing, punk. You gotta ask yourself one thing," and he's like, you feel lucky, punk? Do ya? You feel lucky? And he goes, and then Clint takes it out, his, kills him right there, and that was the scene.
Who were the women that you liked?
I like a lot of female actresses. I guess I'm always intrigued by anything that Audrey Hepburn does. And a movie was on a little while ago with the rain plays mainly in the plane, and learning how to speak and coming from a Cockney to a proper English speaker. You know the film, right? No, it was My Fair Lady. That's what it was. I couldn't remember for a second. But Meryl Streep's an awesome actress. I've actually played some little parts in small roles in films. I would love to be just, in a very small part with a film with some of these people. It would be really awesome. And then Helen Mirren, of course, is an awesome actress as well. I like her too. Yeah, I actually played an extra in the film called Primal Fear many years ago with
Filmed
Richard
in
Gere,
Chicago.
filmed in Chicago with Ed Norton's kind of breakout role, and I was one of the reporter's husbands at a photograph on her desk, and if you blinked your eye, you would never see me. So that was my claim to fame right there.
Are we done yet?
Oh my God, we're out of time. I'll see you guys next week. 216 The Net at Wednesdays at noon. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.